ahead and record. So we're going to take a look at the new and improved Edgar, and we're going to take a look at how to get back to the original Edgar to look at our financials and throw a spreadsheet at us very quickly, very easily, so we can do analysis. So I'm going to go ahead, share my screen, run over to the spreadsheets. Let's see, we'll go into, take a look at, that's not exactly where I want to be, but this is, we're on the Firefox. And we'll do our search on Edgar, do our Google search, and we'll find that, there we go, company search page or search and access. Yeah, we'll do search and access. Either one works. Let me scroll down here and we're looking for a company or fund name down here. Search by company or fund name or ticker symbol. Ticker symbols are easy if you've got them. And then we say, let's look at a company like, you might have heard of this one, Apple. AAPL, ticker symbol. Not these other apples, there's a whole bunch of them actually. And I'm going to go into Apple. Now the original Edgar would take us to a page that we had to type in some things, and that's really where I want to be. I want to get to the original, what's called the classic version. Now I can jump to a 10K here, or I can go to classic version. Let's say a quick look at the 10K just for kicks. You're going to have to, on your annual report projects, you're going to pick a company, an industry you're curious about or interested in or might have some experience with. And you're going to actually look at some of the competitors. Might be business to consumer, B2C. It might be business to business, B2B. So we're going to take a look. We're going to go into our reports and it says, oh, I've got 10 Ks, I've got 10 Qs, and so you have 10 Ks and 10 Qs. I'm going to go to 10 Ks. Let's see what Apple has for 10 Ks. Loading the inline form. Here's my 10K. Here's my Apple. Again, you'll be reading this cover to cover. Oh, interesting. They have a fiscal year ending September 26th. That's kind of weird, but we can always figure out if it's the last Saturday in September or however they do their year ends. Not necessarily 12/31. They got a whole bunch of items here, like item 1A is risk factors. Those are always interesting to see. They have selected financial data, and then they have financial statements. So item 8 is where we're going to focus when we do the analysis. Then they have some financial statement schedules and Form 10K summary. Executive compensation is always interesting to see who's making the money. But if we go to item 8, we can look and say, oh, there it is, statement of operations, statement of comprehensive income, balance sheet, shareholders' equity, cash flow, notes to financial statements, selected information, and the report of the CPAs, okay, the audit report. So if I go here to statement of operations, not the statement of comprehensive income, there's our 3 years. So how did they do last year? Okay, September 26th year end, no, they September 28th year end. So it's not September 26th every year. It's September 29th year end the year before. But if you scroll down, you start saying, oh, they got 220 billion, 220.7 billion in products, 53.8 billion in services, for a total of 274.5 billion in total net sales, net of our sales discounts, net of our returns and allowances. And then we go down to our net income. And here's the numbers, the 57,411, the 56,256, 59,531 net income. And they had a dip last year. Their sales went down in 2019 by about $12 billion. And now they're back up, but not quite up to the level of 2018, which is interesting. And the same thing with their profits. Net income went down last year, and this year they recovered halfway from where they were 2 years ago. And that's nice to see, nice to access, but it's a pain in the butt to transfer all those numbers to a spreadsheet. So I'm going to go back, and you recall that we saw on our original, when we actually looked at our, let's see how we do. We saw this classic version tab under Edgar. So I'm going to go click to classic version. If I go to classic version, This should look a little more familiar, and it changed literally in the past week and a half. So I like the classic version. Why? A, I'm used to it. Okay, we're all products of habit. What I really like is I can type in my 10K here. I go to my interactive data here, and I don't have to read the 10K. I have my financial statements, and better yet, I'm going to create an Excel document. And again, we've done this before, but this is a classic version. Financial report in a spreadsheet, open with Excel, good to go, click OK, on our way. So this is now going to produce those tabbed spreadsheets without us having to transfer all those numbers that we saw in the 10K. And if you look at the bottom, we've got our consolidated statement of operations, consolidated statement of comprehensive income. And again, we don't want the comprehensive income statement is not our income statement. It starts with net income, has a whole bunch of adjustments for losses, derivatives, debt securities, a whole bunch of gobbledygook. That's not our income statement we want. We want the statement of operation. There's our income statement. We get 3 years of stuff. Remember, a balance sheet's 2 years. An income statement is typically 3. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at, I'm going to shift this down, move this over a little bit. And you can see the same numbers, 265, the 260, and the 274 billion in net sales, our cost of sales, and our gross profit. R&D, SG&A, a whole bunch of numbers. Now you remember that we inserted a row here or anywhere we want. Now we're in a spreadsheet. We can do all this fancy calculation. We can equal that, which is our net income slash net sales. And we've got, oops, I did that backwards, didn't I? Let's try that again. Equals that slash that, and I've got a net income percentage, but it's not a percentage yet. So let me make it a percentage. So you look at the percentage and say 21%. As a matter of fact, I like a little decimal in there. I'm going to put 1 decimal in there for kicks, 20.9%. I'm going to copy this formula, although I get into change this absolute $B, $3. When I copy this formula up, I have all these numbers showing with my net sales over net sales being 100%. My gross profit percentage, 38.2%. That down. Okay. And I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. Just for kicks. Shrink that down. We'll make it look pretty. So we're looking at that saying, oh, isn't that a lot easier than transposing all the numbers? Maybe I want to do it again here. I'll insert a column there. I'm going to copy the formula. I'll copy this over here. But the catch is I need to change this to D's and D3. Instead, copy that down. And there we go. I've got my percentages. Look at that and say, oh, that's interesting. I have a gross profit or a gross margin of 37.8%. I'm buying better right now on the stuff I'm selling because my gross profit went up. And then I look down here, I'm saying, yeah, but my SG&A also went up as a percentage because my net income as a percentage of sales went down, even though my dollars are up 14.3 billion, 14.4 billion. Our profits as a percentage of sales are down. Our profits, net profits are up. And they're up 2 billion, a little over 2 billion. But as a percentage of sales are down. And now we analyze, we go back and say, well, let's see. Our R&D as a percentage of sales is up. Our SG&A, selling general administrative as a percentage of sales, is up. Our total operating expenses, which is some of those two obviously would be up. Operating income calculated, income taxes down. So we're making some money back on the income taxes percentage of our sales. So that's the kind of analysis. And what I like about going to the original view allows us again, we went in here, when we first went in, back out of here, all the way down. When we went into Edgar, we typed in Apple, and we did a search. Go back to our view, company. Let's go back to Edgar. Okay, company fund name, yeah, company, go to Apple. Found them, loaded it. And to read the actual 10K, we went over here. But going back to get our spreadsheet, we went back to the classic version. That's when we typed the filing type, separated out, and got to access the spreadsheets directly, made the adjustments, had a good time. And that's what you're going to be doing for your final project. Let me talk about that final project. How powerful do you think it is to go in an interview and ask a question like, you know what? I was taking a look at some of your numbers, and this could be a marketing interview, a management interview, it could be accounting and finance interview. And I noticed your sales are up 10% last year, but your profits are down 4% last year. Any insights? That's a powerful question. That's a question where you come in and say, hey, I've looked at your financials and I'm curious. And they may or may not be able to answer, but they'll at least know you took the initiative to dive deeper than almost anybody else would have dove into a company. Now, you may not be interviewing with Apple, but you may be interviewing with a high-tech company. And you can ask that same question. Say, I noticed Apple had an increase in sales, but their percentage, their profits as a percent of their sales is down. And the company you're at, are you having a similar experience? Now they're seeing you're not only researching them, if they're publicly traded, and if you can't, not publicly traded, you are researching the industry. And every time you read a 10K on those annual reports cover to cover, you learn about the industry. So I urge you to select a company for your annual report project that's A, interesting, B, you may want to work for them, because you're going to conclude what I invest and what I work for them. Those are the two questions you need to answer. And then you're going to compare them to some other companies in the industry, so that if and when you do go for an interview, you might be in a pretty powerful position to understand the business better. As a matter of fact, if you do it for this class and say, great, I understand some things about the ratio, some things about the company, and then a year later, you come back and you read it again, or you integrate it in finance and economics and management and some other courses. Those are the kind of things that you'll have a more intimate knowledge of the company, and again, be better in interviewing and coordinating. So if your future's in high tech, find a high tech company. If you want to go into gaming, cool. You think retail is where it's at? That's fine too. Maybe you currently work at a retail store or a supermarket or any place else you wanted to dive in to the industry, get familiar with. So this is an opportunity to investigate, to explore, and to find out more about companies, about accounting, and start asking intelligent questions. Any thoughts or comments on Edgar? I'm going to post this up because my previous Edgar does not cover, it is the classic version, but if you don't know how to get to the classic version, you'll spend an hour trying to figure it out and accessing it. Comments or questions?